All right, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the show. This is episode 3. First off, we want to say thank you to all our supporters out there that followed us on Instagram. Slowly trending up on things. Gotten a couple of DMs and text messages of people, saying good job and stuff like that. And some of them were inspiring as far as like, this has helped me throughout my day and stuff like that. So if you guys got anything you want us to do or add, this isn't just for us; it's for you guys as well. So we
Love
want to
that.
make it as enjoyable as possible for you guys. So
Yeah,
thank you.
love to hear that. Thank you, everyone, for listening, subscribing, tuning in, checking us out, and keep sending the messages because it helps us. Helps us stay motivated. We all have full-time jobs and lives, but this is something that's super important to us because we feel like it's super important to the world and to everyone else. So wherever you're tuning in from, thank you, and welcome to Dudes.Done.Deal. I'm Mark, and this is
Ricky.
And this is episode 3, talking about the power of you. And Ricky, since this is your topic, I'm going to let you kick it off with what it means for you and kind of like where it came from and just dive in.
So the power of you, obviously at the end of the day, it's the power of me. But for the power of you, it's kind of like you hold the pen to your own story. You direct on how your life's going to be, obviously outside circumstances and situations become involved in that, but it's about you using your mind and your willpower to overcome those and see past that to where you actually want to be in your life, and just not letting your outside circumstances dictate your life and run your life for you. So
Love that.
having that mental brain power and that determinedness and willingness to continue to strive even though you're in a certain situation, to get out of it and be better for yourself is that's the power of you for me. I could tell you I'm a written testament of that. I was in my own bad situations that came from, the passing of a good friend to the losing of a girlfriend, all the way down to, just drinking myself down a drain and didn't really know where I was going. And finally one day I just said, I can't do this life anymore. I need to figure out a new way. And I stopped looking past my current circumstances that I was in and said, this is where I'm going to be the next 6 months. So I hunkered down, I went dark, and came back. So this is where we're at.
That's beautiful. And I think, I can relate to that too. And I think oftentimes we wait till our life situation is so dire, or our actions that we're doing are just keep, producing a result that we're not really intending for ourselves. Right. And it often takes some sort of like valley valley and peak.
Yeah.
But it takes hitting that valley sometimes to realize, I can't do this anymore. I mean, I had the same thought, in a previous relationship and work relationship, that the circumstances have changed like 180, right? And I wasn't really being present in the moment during a lot of that. I was constantly taking substances to get myself out of that rut and to feel better, instead of looking at like, all right, what is it that I can actually do without these substances? Like where's that anxiety coming from? And realizing that power resides in ourselves, right? Like to really, you're your best barometer, if you will, of gauging where you're at and where you need to go. So I love that. And it's a really powerful thing. Yeah. What do you do to stay in that power of you, to that power of me mindset? Like what is
really it's just keeping those daily habits of positivity. If it's waking up and listening to the podcast, or not podcast, excuse me, the motivational speeches, reading my books before I go to bed, meditating before I go to bed, staying away from either those types of people that are always down on themselves, or staying away from those certain situations really helps at the end of the day to keep that going. But I have, as we talked about before, I have a whiteboard, I have my vision board. So, looking at those and looking at where I want to be versus where I'm at, those kind of help me continue to keep going. So
it's a bunch of tools.
There's a bunch of tools out there, but, some of the things that, you guys can do for yourselves, or, kind of like a starting ground is, you just got to be bold, be confident, understand that we all fail, and realizing that failure is a learning tool and not just a fail as a failure. You got to be able to be positive even during your failing times. Don't fall to victimization, I think, is the biggest thing. because we all like to complain and stuff like that, because it's easier than being happy. I mean, we talked about this before, it's easier to be sad than it is to be happy. But, staying out of that victimization, which, I was there too, blaming my other circumstances on where I'm at, just folds you to be in the same circumstance without
Yeah.
fixing it. Like, complaints not gonna get you anywhere. It's about you getting up and doing something about it that's going to get you somewhere. And one of my favorite things that
go for it.
One of the favorite things that have really resonated with me lately is your personality creates your personal reality. So
Ooh,
yeah, right.
Ooh. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna write that one down. Can you say that one more time?
Your personality creates your personal reality. So if you're always a sad person, you're gonna have a sad life. If you're not a determined person, you're not gonna get anywhere in your life. So take it as you want, but that one really helps me every day get through it. If I feel like I'm in a shit situation in my daily life, I got to find my way to get out of it, even if it's like texting Mark or texting somebody else or just trying to find my way out of it. You got to do that, because you get stuck in that too long, it's going to turn back into your reality. So,
and I think hey, I love that. And there's a quote that I have, like, that's basically right in front of my bed. So when I wake up, I see it. I got it mounted on my wall. But it's change your thoughts, change your world. And it's really speaks to like that power of you. And similar to what you said, your personality creates your personal reality, right? And really focusing on what it is that you're telling yourselves when you're facing these situations, because life situations, it's not going to change overnight. It's not going to change right away, right? You got to be patient with yourself, but recognizing where it is you want to go versus where you're at is the first step. It's often the hardest step, right? Because it's that honest look in the mirror of okay, a lot of the decisions I'm making are autopilot decisions that I don't love, at the end of the day. And, I think we talk about this a lot, but your brain loves patterns and it loves to be able to predict things. That's what it's wired to do from like a survival standpoint of mitigating that stress. And since for the most of us who are probably listening, like aren't living the hunter-gatherer lifestyle anymore, those chemicals that get released in the body when you have these reactions to life situations or these patterns that you don't love often become the controlling mindset, right? And you really have to disassociate yourself with these thought patterns, these victimization, and realize that's not who you are. It's just part of the life situation that you're learning from. And and if you aren't failing or you know if you aren't realizing that you're in the valley, then this is the wake up call that you've been waiting for. You're on the right track. You're tuning into something that's helping you realize where you need to go. And there's no shame in starting at square one many times. You got to make sure that you have that support system and network built in. Like Ricky will text me, I'll text Ricky. I'll visit my parents, go visit some dogs, little things. I love to like literally smell flowers as I walk. And the more present I can be in here, the more present I am in here in the reality. And I think it's an untapped source of power that people have, and it's unlimited, right? Like that doesn't go away when you're really tapping into who you are. That drive and motivation is constantly there. And yes, just welcome to where you're supposed to be. And I think that's important for people to hear.
Yeah. I mean, we all start somewhere. No one starts from the top. So, I think I sent it out today, or if it was yesterday. I don't know. These days are bleeding together. But one of the posts on Instagram that I did recently, it was, everyone has to start somewhere. It's not a matter of how, but it's a matter of when. So do it today. Don't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow turns into the next day and the next day and the next day and next thing. It's years and years. So start now.
Yeah, people always say life flies by when you're having fun, but the reality is life flies by when you're in the same patterns, and it's because you aren't making that change that you need to make today. So break those patterns, break those habits, and be kind to yourself when you slip, and be open to your support network when you do slip. Those who are really your good friends and people that are in that same positive mindset are never going to be ones that chastise you for quote unquote messing up. Remember you're your self as critic, and so that story you are telling yourself daily, moment by moment, is the only reality you live in, and people don't know what you're going through unless you share. And that's, I think, part of the other part of this podcast that I really like, because it gives me a chance to have another outlet to share and to hopefully reach people. I think there's a lot of weird tension post COVID, especially with like around mental health and people still struggling with kind of what they went through and the reality of it. And, that's the world at large. So
Yeah.
welcome to where you're supposed to be and tuning into the power of you. It's a really, really cool experience to be able to recognize.
Yeah. And actually, right before we started this, an old college buddy, Jeff, gave me a call, because he lives in Dallas. And he's like, hey, let's meet up. And he was asking me how the podcast was going. And he's like, can you give me a little background on what you guys are trying to accomplish? I was kind of giving to him the 411 on what we're doing here. And he goes, it's crazy to say it, but, like what you guys are doing is not talked about a lot, whether it's men's mental health or mental health in general. And, he was saying that a lot of people in his current past or his current future right now are passing away, either through suicide or things like that. So, even if we're able to go out there and just reach a couple of people, this is it's great. It's great to do. So we want you guys to be able to do the same thing. If you guys listen to this, don't be embarrassed or ashamed if someone comes up to you and starts talking about their problems, and we're like, hey, you know what? I have some information that I could pass along to you. I listen to this podcast. They have some good stuff, and so we want you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I love hearing that, and that's that's one of the reasons I think we both started this is we lost a friend to suicide, and that's something we'll have to deal with every day for the rest of our lives, and the greater impact of that, and just wanting to make sure that folks know in our lives and in your lives that they have a place to turn and you listen to some real talk on mental health. And there's a lot of marketing on mental health, but people don't really talk about what that journey looks like. And I think there's a misconception around you feel good and then you stop tuning into yourself and then your mental health goes away. And it's a daily thing you got to be tuned in with for the rest of your life, but it gets easier and easier. It's like flexing a muscle of working out,
Yeah, it's every day. It doesn't stop. That's one of the biggest things, power of you is having that mindset. The mindset is key to understanding the true powers that you behold. Being able to realize you're going to have to take those bad days with your good days and understand that those bad days will pass. Your good days are going to pass, but every day is a new day and every week's a new week. So you start from the right foot and you just keep pushing.
And something that helps me too is if I feel like I'm having a bad day, I'll often stop and ask myself, like, what is it right now in this moment that like I need to feel like my day is turning around? Like whether that be I need to go on a 15-minute walk, I need to go meditate, I want to go to the gym, I want to go grocery shopping, I'm tired of eating out, car wash, little things that start to add up as things to do or stressors, quote unquote, that you're building. If I'm thinking to myself like, wow, I'm feeling really tense, I pause and I like check in myself. I'm like, what is it that's missing right now in this moment?
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's little things. It's getting water, it's stretching, it's just tuning in for a little bit. And, it's those little things that add up.
I like that pause that you said, because I actually had one of those the other day. When you get frustrated and stuff, sometimes you got to figure out what your mind is thinking. So for me, my way of doing that pause, kind of like that you have, is depending if I'm like in a down mood, I'll take a super long hot shower, or if I'm like heated and angry, I'll take a cold shower. And while I'm in that shower, I try to just not expel, just like breathe in, breathe out, and kind of just let it go. And then once I got the shower, like it's a new day. So everyone's got
breathing. I was going to say the breathing techniques is really important to all this too. There's a lot of science behind it. I'm not a doctor or anything or a therapist, but there's a lot of research on breathing techniques and slowing down your heart and getting really just your mind and body and heart to connect with the brain and to look at like, what is causing that tension, your reaction, and, breathing in through your nose. I think it's 4, 6, 8. So in through the nose 4 seconds, hold for 6, and out through your mouth for 8. And you can adjust that as you see fit. You'll notice you're probably start to get a little tingly. And oftentimes I've realized is that a lot of my stress goes away. Like I visualize, light and energy, just positivity coming in when I breathe in from the universe, and then getting rid of that negativity as I breathe out. And, as I do that too, I think the shower, that hot, cold shower, that works miracles. Yeah. I always, at the end of my showers, I read this book. Let me see if it's on my current shelf. No, it must be in my room. But essentially, the research was showing like if you take a hot shower and you've had a stressful day, you flip it to the coldest at the end of your shower for like no more than 3 minutes. And if you can breathe in through that shock, your body is literally like sending down cells or whatever. It's cleansing out the cortisone that was built up, that stress chemical that was built up in your body throughout the day. And there's a lot of science around like, breathing techniques actually can burn, some fat too. So that's a side effect benefit. But yeah, shower's great. What was going through? What was happening the other day that you mentioned that you went and did this technique?
Just life.
Yeah.
Things are moving around in my own life. I have to figure out certain things. Obviously, that can get overwhelming at times. So, not being where I should or think I should be, and taking that with a grain of salt and, trying not to be overwhelmed by it. I started getting down on myself. So I take that hot shower and release it and realize that this is where I'm at. I can't complain about it and see where I want to go. So,
yeah. And that happens a lot too. I think it's part of the benefit of really tapping into your authentic self, right? It can become like almost overwhelming because you have this great insight of like, I know my direction now, where I feel like I feel like I know where I want to be. But then you have that disconnect, right, of like where I'm presently at and where I know I'm going. And that tension of being in between can be depressive. It can be overwhelming. And so I think you did a great example right there of the power of stepping back and tuning in with yourself and realizing, yeah, don't beat yourself up for knowing now where you want to go. If anything, that's the most beautiful thing, right? But it is that in between time of this is where I'm at and this is where I'm going. And for me, it's really realizing like for a while I had no idea where I was going, and that was a very lost time. And I had that same emotion when it comes to art, when it comes to the podcast. I pour my heart and soul into them, and I often want that result right away.
Yeah.
But I've learned that it's a long-term play. Just like life, we can't expect it to be instant. So that's a great example of stopping that talk track, get yourself out of that funk, and get back to it. Because just remember how good it felt to be back, to your normal squared self is often enough to switch that track in your head.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the biggest thing is, we got to understand that we aren't our emotions, and we are emotional beings. So it's very hard to get out of that. But, at the end of the day, you got to be able to understand that we have the ability to change your thoughts.
Yeah, so we do. And that right there is another, I think, profound statement. Like, we are not our emotions. We just have emotions.
Yeah.
Right. And that really does help me quite a bit too, in terms of just the day-to-day mental health when I'm feeling down, is realizing like, okay, I see you sadness and depression, but that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, what is the signal saying? It's probably telling me I need to go move around, stretch, do something, or get out of my head. And however you get out of your head, is really the power of you, and realizing that you aren't these emotions, these reactions that are just innate and, meant to help you survive. And just like anything, it takes a while, I think, for the humans to evolve to a place where we aren't so, fight or flight, even when it comes to things that aren't presently actively dangerous, right? It's still having the same chemical reactions as we did when we were hunting and gathering, and now we don't have to hunt and gather. So the stress is different, but the reactions inside are still very real, and it can be very overwhelming, I think, to encounter that day-to-day lives. And whether that means at work or doing whatever else, it's often not as serious as it needs to be in terms of the emotional reaction they're having to the life situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other day when I got rear-ended, I still had a date afterwards, and she was like, "I'm so surprised. You're just so positive still." And it's like, everyone was okay. I was more worried about the motorcyclist that rear-ended me, but it's a brand new car, and I was kind of laughed. I'm like, "Yep, it's broken in now, and it's a car, right? Like, everyone's fine." It is what it is. A car is drivable to get fixed, and that's what insurance is for. And it's just being prepared, having those steps taken previously that are just like, yeah, you just go with the flow a bit more. Don't resist life as much as you want, and try and control it. work with it, flow with it, and go with it.
Yeah, that's another huge concept of the power of you is you were able to have that self-awareness and you're able to reflect on the situation as it is and understand that it's not as big of a deal as some people would take it, you know? That's where road rage comes from.
Yeah, I mean, and I was calm and collected. The guy that hit me was calm and collected because I didn't run out the car saying, "Well, what did you do?"
Yeah.
You know, because we're humans. This happens. Insurance wouldn't exist if this didn't happen. You know, and I think there was a brief moment where I was like, "Oh," and then I was like, "Yeah, whatever." It's like literally recognizing in that moment, and then I was able to still have a great day, great evening, and still same good day. And even my date, she saw the back of my car. She was like, "Oh wow, that's more damage than I was anticipating."
Yeah. Your emotional level is not where it should be for the amount of damage that it's at.
But again, like you said, these are these are just the emotions that we have that are just in us. That like we aren't that emotion. I'm still here. Nothing's changed. I didn't seriously get injured. Thank God for that. Thank the universe for that. Thank whomever you want for that. But having that awareness, and then seeing her reaction too, that was like inspiring for myself, right? Getting that feedback from other human beings where it's like, she's thinking all of a sudden she's saying, wow, like I wish my friends had that same kind of caliber and outlook on life. Like, she started bringing up toxic people in her life that she sees these behaviors with. And then to I think see me go through that, and that was like our second or third date, but it was like eye-opening, I think, for her, and that made me feel good because it's like, okay, yeah, like this does have an effect. Tuning into this show, listening to these ideas and advice and our stories does have an effect, and I hope that whoever's listening, if you ever get in a fender bender or an accident or something that obviously isn't like critical, but like take a chance to breathe and get calm, cool, collected, realize what has actually happened, what's real versus what is this emotional response you're feeling. Now, I'm not saying don't be emotional, but I'm saying check yourself in the situation and make sure that you're acting in line. Yeah.
That's good, man.
Exactly.
Proud of you.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't owned a car in like 10 years, and I was like...
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, when I saw him, like, ooh, Mark's had to be pissed.
No, I was chill. I was like... I felt, honestly, I felt more bad for my car because I really do believe that everything has a consciousness, whether it's a rock, a carpet, a piece of dirt, a car, everything is at the atomic level alive, right? And, I felt bad for my car. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, look what happened. You're brand new. You're off the lot. Yeah. But I will say, shout out to Honda. Great job. I I barely felt the guy, clipped the back of the car, and even though he was going pretty fast, and the car reacted beautifully. Shout out to Honda. Plug it in.
What a good sponsor.
Yeah, send me a t-shirt or something. And, but no, it was, it was good. I mean, and, I went back, finished at work, and I texted my boss, said, hey, I'm going to have to miss this meeting. I got rear-ended. And, he as a leader, and I will say has a big effect. So if you're a manager, you're a leader, or you're an employee, if you're realizing that someone in your everyday life is a toxic personality where they're super negative and that's having an impact on you, if you can look at changing your life situation, look at a new job, look at a new team in the company, because unfortunately, if people aren't tapped into how they're responding and how they're projecting their energy, it can have an impact on it. And my current boss, an executive, he's always having the most positive attitude on every morning call. Even when things look like they're going bad on paper or a project's delayed, he's still the most positive. And like, honestly, having that kind of interaction on the daily at work has been super impactful too. And so, like you said, I think earlier, Ricky, it's like surrounding yourself with people who have that awareness and that level of centeredness too, and have that positive outlook. Because it is really easy for negative energy to find negative energy, and then the next thing you know, you're surrounding yourself with everyone who's bummed out, and
fall into a black hole of negativity, and you can't get
out. Yeah, it becomes really dark in that hole really quick too, and you get reinforced by other people who are also feeling that same kind of negativity, and it's often tough to separate yourselves because you kind of feed on that. But don't let that ego and that negativity define like who you are. and start weeding out those people in your life that you get that emotional response from, that energy kickback
Yeah,
from.
and you'll know
You
it
know,
because you'll start to feel down on yourself, or you just feel upset, or you just
hmm
don't feel as happy as you were when you were either hanging out with somebody else or you're hanging out by yourself. So you'll know
yeah,
your body, your mind. They'll tell you, like, man, this isn't the person.
yeah, literally your body. If you aren't sure of like how you're feeling about someone, close your eyes, check in with your body, do a scan, and you'll know for sure. And then all of a sudden that'll become like an automatic, like, I'm picking up on this. Because so there are some people out there who are, especially I think maybe super ego driven, very manipulative, that you might feel like at first, oh yeah, this really vibes. And then you start to get like that weird feeling in the back of your head, like, I don't think I'm getting the full picture of their personality yet, or like, their MO. And yeah, you'll know in your body. It'll kind of tell you to like bounce. Not cool, not hanging out. Yeah, I feel worse when I'm with you or after I was with a person, because it really, love and I mean that in every sense, like friendship, your relationships, work, whatever it is, love is the most powerful thing once you find it and you really feel good. There shouldn't be a reason to be hanging into situations or people who you aren't feeling that reverberation of that positivity coming through.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty immediate effect too once you realize what is causing it, what you can do. And take action where you can, or accept the situation, but don't let it determine, who you are
Yeah,
and your mindset.
yeah. That's the whole power of you right there. In a nutshell.
Yeah. In a nutshell. We like nutshells. They're quick tidbits. You can take them away.
Yeah.
You can keep them stored for later.
Mm-hmm.
Like the squirrel, take it, bury it for when you have a sad day, sad moment.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, think about it. Just reflect really quick, and you'll change your world. And it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful time. If you're alive listening to this, just remember to be thankful every day. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but right now we're all here and we're all tuning in, and we're all helping to increase the vibrations of the world that we live in by being aware of the toxicity that we all create and doing our best to stop adding to that mess.
Yeah.
And, it's a good day. It's a great day. That's what I tell myself every day. I literally have a mantra where I'm like, it's a good day, great day, you're good today. And then that's when I get out of bed and I say that like out loud, and I'll just say it as I'm brushing my teeth in my head. And, if I'm in the shower, that's the only thing that if I can be consciously aware of what I'm saying, I say it out loud, all of a sudden my internal thoughts are also saying that same thing. And it's like, yeah, it's a great day. It's a good day. We're here, But yeah, the car will be okay, folks are wondering. She's fine. He's fine. It's fine. But yeah, it was a great date. Did some hiking, although I hurt my knee because I wasn't really dressed appropriately for this date. I didn't realize we were hiking. I misread the text message. So
I don't know how you misread hike from.
Well,
pretty self-explanatory. Hey, we're gonna be walking, like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I am a pretty go with the flow kind of guy, and sometimes that can bite me a little bit. So, definitely check in the text messages before you go and
reread what is said before you go.
Yeah, exactly. So I paid the price a little bit. My knee's a little sore today, but did like 6 miles in tennis, like dress tennis shoes things. But yeah, it was a good day. Was that thunder?
Yeah, you hear that?
Wow. Oh yeah.
It's a lot. Dude, it's been like this all day. Like I took a nap before this. Like it's been a perfect day.
I love that. There's something about thunder and lightning that just is pretty cool. I mean, stay out of being outside, of course, right?
Yeah, I gotta cook here in a little bit, and I'm gonna barbecue.
Well, don't get. Yeah, but you're under shelter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wear some rubber shoes so you don't get, there's water on the ground.
I'm just gonna wear some slippers, man. I'm just gonna do it. It's only gonna take a couple minutes, and I'm not making anything crazy.
Yeah. All right. True. Fair.
Yeah. This kind of gets a little bit off topic, but kind of stays on topic. I don't know who I was listening to, and it's one of my audiobooks. But one of the things he said, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I said it right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was listening to one of his not podcasts, but one of his audiobooks, and one of the things he said was, 68% of the Western world grabs their phone first thing. I thought that was huge because I do it, but I do mine in a different way as far as like not looking at Instagram and things like that. I use it for YouTube to start my motivational speeches.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's huge. And starting your day off. Hey, there we go. Figured it out. Starting your day off and the power of you. You know, most people will grab their
Yeah.
phone, and I, I was a person of that addiction, but addicted to the first thing you do is looking at Instagram, looking at social media. There are good things out there. As far as social media, but a majority of it, you were looking at other people's lives and stuff like that. So that could get depressing and bring on anxiety in your own life, especially depending on
Mm.
what time you wake up. You don't want to start off like that. So, if you are going to go to Instagram or you're going to go on social media, make sure it's something that's positive, inspiring, impactful into your own life to start your day off right. But and that's
Hint,
and
hint.
that's just not even going straight into social media. That could be, work emails. They'd be looking at text. If you're gonna use your phone,
Yep.
try to stray away from those work emails or those texts that you don't want to look at yet, or phone calls and stuff like that, and or just get your life all stressed out before you're even um, fully awake. That is your time that your subconscious mind is,
It's absorbing all of
you're
that.
between conscious and subconscious mind is fully open. So use that time to fill it with the right things in your life.
Love that. I love that. That's like, and that's the reason why I have that poster. I mean, it's framed on my bookshelf. It's in front of my bed. I have a little meditation area, but yeah, that's where that change your thoughts, change your world is right there first thing. So when I wake up, I'm taking that in at a conscious and a subconscious level, and I'm like I'm like you, man. I used to look at my phone, hop on Instagram, and scroll, scroll, scroll. Then I'd be like, wow, everyone's living a great life. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So instead, yeah, like I don't even take it off the sleep mode until I'm done with the shower and shave and brush my teeth. And then I have like 15 minutes while my coffee is being made. I'm having a cup of coffee and I'll hit the text messages before I start my work day. But I don't let that control, my daily habits in the morning, and I don't let it set the tone for me, because you don't know where you're going to get in a text. It's like a box of chocolates. To shout out Forrest Gump. It could be a good text, bad text. It could be, good news, sad news, bad news. And, it's important to have yourself centered and ready for the day from a mental standpoint before you start giving yourself away to other people and other energy sources and topics and, work emails, man. If anyone who's been working for more than a day or two, they know that the emails never stop. It's like it's a wheel that keeps on turning. And so prioritize like what's really important. If you aren't centered and healthy in your head, your work email is not going to help. Trust me. That the important deadline, unless you're like an operating room doctor, I mean, surgeon or emergency personnel. Most jobs, the email can wait. 99% of us out there, most of that can wait.
I had a boss tell me that one time. He told me he started to see that I was stressed out all the time, and he's like, "Do you turn off your work emails when you leave here?" I'm like, "No, I keep them on so I can like stay ahead of my day and be ready for tomorrow." And all those whatever excuses you make up for trying to be ahead, even though you're never going to be ahead in life with work. But it's just like, dude, cut that off, turn it off. As soon as you go home, you could do it on Gmail on your phone and just exit it out. And one of the things what he said is, if it's that important, they're going to call you. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I never really thought about it that way. So ever since then, dude, I'm turning off those emails, and I'll get those phone calls regardless. Sometimes we even send an email, and then I'll get a phone call because no one responded to the email. So, you don't have to
if
look
it's
at
an emergency.
Yeah, if it's really an emergency, they're gonna call you. So don't thread through 30 emails while you get off work just to stay ahead for the next day. Like the next day is gonna be there. If you know how to prioritize, if you know how to, manage your how many hours you work per day, if you can manage that correctly, you should be able to look at all those emails in the appropriate time for work.
And I think that segues into part of being the power of you is boundaries and setting those boundaries and the little things like being able to realize that you can control your email and like if you aren't able to just not look, exit out of it. Like your boss said, I think that's great advice. I started doing that at this current job. I mean, they say they have Slack, right? Everyone knows what Slack is, or like a DM instant messenger app for work. And I took that off my phone. One, because my phone is a personal phone. I don't have a work phone. I also don't have work email on my phone at all. So the only time that I'm checking Slack or emails when I'm literally sitting down with my computer open and it's a work day. Outside of that, I have firm boundaries. PTO, I will never, ever, ever check work email. and because if it's important, they'll call. I'm not in a job that I need to be checking that, checking in all the time. And, you got to remember too, a lot of people's emails, if they're sending it, it's just, they're getting it off their plate and it's not even pushing onto yours. It's oftentimes maybe someone that's, talking to a larger group or whatever. And I think also that's just a workplace practice that people need to look at. Don't include everyone on your email if you don't need to.
I hate that. That is the
I know.
worst. No one, just the people that are important in the conversation. Not everyone needs to know
Yeah.
what's going on. Because then everyone starts putting in their 10 cents. I hate that.
And it's like, and I get 100 emails, on a thread that I have nothing to do with, or I have zero decision making, on it. And it's like, I don't need to see how the sausage is made every time, just give me the 411 whenever you're done. And, we'll go from there. But having those boundaries and realizing, your the little habits, everything, you'll notice this theme kind of is going to be coming back through probably almost every episode, but having those habits, having those those insights, those abilities, those moments of pause, asking yourself, what is it that I need right now in this moment to address how I'm feeling, or to, tune into what your needs are. That all kind of ties in with, getting out of your work email, getting out of your head, getting out of these things that are causing stress. And I told my team that, unless you absolutely critically need to be here beyond 5, please don't be on live. Please don't think that you have to be continuing to work because someone's slacking you if it's not important, and setting those boundaries and having examples of people in your life that set those boundaries. So again,
and that goes for outside of work. That goes for your friends, your loved ones, your relationships. There's boundaries for everything. And if you can find that perfect balance between, those boundaries and what you need to be present for, your life's going to be pretty amazing. So, those are things that, they're a work in progress because you can't read other people's minds. All you can do is test those waters and, be apologetic if you set a boundary that's a little unfair for both parties. But, that's the only way you're really going to learn how to set perfect boundaries. And not every boundary is going to be perfect, and not every situation is going to unfold to your perfect boundary settings. But, you got to be able to adjust and readjust when it's needed, and just keep learning.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, not everyone's going to agree with the boundaries. The people who often take more of our energy are the ones that get upset with boundaries that we put up, because you're no longer a reliable source for them to either delegate whatever task is on their mind, or ask of you, or expect you to show up 120%. And once you start to reclaim some of that, those people are going to start to fall off. And that's perfect, because people who need to be in your life are ones that respect your boundaries, and they get it. They're there for you. You need to have hard boundaries if they're really, about helping you out and being that positive aspect in your life. And a real relationships, that's a respect of the boundaries and understanding that everyone has their own boat they're rowing. And, my dad always says, everyone's rowing their own boat. You got to think about who you're hitching yours to, right? And if someone's pulling you and driving in the wrong, their direction only, just going in circles. Exactly. Just going in circles. Yeah. And that's part of that pattern. That's deeper into the pattern. That's realizing the power of you. You can row your own boat if you need to, go solo, and then you're going to meet people who are heading in the same direction. And at that moment, when you link up just like a flock of birds, you're stronger together, and everyone's headed in that same direction. Yeah. You don't have someone that's pulling you in circles and driving your energy down.
Make sure you make your boundaries clear to people too, because if you're not too sure on what your boundaries are, it's going to be frustrating for both parties. So, set your intentions right the first time, and there'll be a little room for mistake or error, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Improvisation.
Yeah, but I like that improvisation. That's another improvisation. That's like 4 or 5.
You and me souls. All right. What was the first word you said earlier?
What, you didn't remember it?
I wrote it down, but I can't read it. Carrot.
I
don't know. It says carotene. Something about finding your own positivity throughout the day. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go back through this audio.
Cathartic?
There you go. I can't write.
Cathartic is just it's like a way to describe something that's like relaxing, meditative, releasing. cathartic activities, gardening, just getting out of your head, and just being, I don't know, unwinding and stress relief.
Yeah.
Cathartic. Carrot.
I know. I don't
I was
know
thinking,
what I was reading. I think I was
I got
looking at
carrot cake in my head. Yeah, I do love a good carrot cake. My sweet tooth is a bit out of control.
Yeah, no, but I think, I don't know why this came to my mind, but another power of you as far as, going through your daily days is you're going to have busy days, you're going to have stressful days. And Mark told me the other day, make sure you save some time to relax and save that time to rest, because if you just, burn the candle at both ends, eventually your candle's going to die and you're going to have no more light, no more energy left. So, save some of that energy for a good day if you're in a good spot to be able to just stop what you're doing and do what's good for you, kind of like eating a carrot cake. If that's your reward for the end of the week, seriously, but
Love
if that's
it.
like your reward for the end of the week, go get that carrot cake.
Go get it.
Your diet is going to be okay. Carrot cake is not going to kill you. I mean, every day, 3 times a day,
I mean,
that might kill
that'll
you,
add
but
up.
then that's not, it's no longer reward. It's what you get every day. So give yourself that break, that time, so I kind of took that yesterday afternoon, and, I kind of watched, I did. I watched, my favorite shows, even though I watched the same show about 1,000 different times, but we're not going to talk about that. It was Lord of the Rings.
We won't talk about that. Lord of the Rings.
Well, I put on my favorite movie, and I just zoned out, whether it was just like texting people back and forth, or, cleaning up some of my own stuff and getting ready for the day.
Yeah.
I just took the time to relax, and I'm not behind on anything, but I did make sure that I got what I needed to get done first before I took that break. So,
but I love to hear that. And the reason that I was like, make sure you keep your balance and don't burn out is because I did that with my art. I mean, I went hard for like 2 years straight every day after work. I mean, I was working, to like 5 or 6, I'd eat dinner and then would do art for 4 hours. And so I was going to bed at 11, 12, waking up at like 6. And it's great. I mean, I love the art. It's a big part of me, but it burned me out. And so I like took time off, and now I'm starting to get back into it. And I'm really aware of my boundaries of how much time and energy I can give to certain things. Even though I want to give everything in my all at all times, there is that effect of you start to ignore maybe the downtime that you need, and like those shows, that comfort time, and give yourself permission to have a lazy day. And it's not even lazy. I don't like that term. Have a rest day. Have a day of like just you, and take away that dynamic between what it is you're doing and what you want to do, and you're going to feel good about it, and making sure, and if that means getting all your lists done before you relax, great. If that means realizing you are just going in circles on your list and you don't have the energy to do it, then pause, go take a day off, go take an hour off, get your mind right, get your body right. There's nothing wrong with slowing down. I think a lot of this life, especially working remote or, post-pandemic, I feel like, and this might just be me, but like the sense of rushing around, like everyone's like in this like constant rush again. And I really love the part of COVID that allowed me to slow down and realize like we're always hurrying up to wait in life.
Yeah.
And if we take out the hurry and we take out the wait, then we're just left with life. And so sometimes it's best to not feel that pressure that you give yourself. So have your goals, but have your boundaries around your goals. Make sure that you aren't doing it, and then it's a walk in the park in terms of progressing towards your goal.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you were saying, have boundaries with your own goals. Cause for a while I got to myself, for a while, I am in that spot where I want to be, and to see myself be there, I want to continue to advance myself. So, I push myself to create new challenges and to continue to put more into my life, and in order to, achieve these goals that I set for myself. And I kind of find myself falling off on certain things to pick up on something new. And that's a big thing, like going to the gym, it's become, a daily thing for me. And when I don't go to the gym, I feel like I should be at the gym. And, I started going 4 times a week instead of 5 because, with having a full-time job, but doing this on the side and then still going to the gym for 2 hours a day, it's a lot. So, I was going to go today, this morning, and, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this morning. It's raining. I'm going to take that chill day. Like, your muscle goals or whatever you have as far as your gym, they're going to be there, I'm just, at this point, I'm going to the gym just because I feel like if I don't go to the gym, I'm not going to be where I want to be. So
I think that's really insightful. It's like, the gym is a great place so long as it's balanced and it doesn't become like something that determines if you are going to be feeling good or not. And, there are definitely benefits to working out to prevent depression and stuff. But if you have depression, you're still going to have to sit with the power of you. You're still going to be, you'll be a jacked, depressed person.
Hey, that may not be a
which is fine, But, you gotta drill deeper. You gotta look into that you to like, what is really going on with you at that moment. The gym is definitely going to help your physiological aspect of tuning into that and getting rid of a lot of those chemicals that are building up and that mental health for sure. But it does plateau at a certain point, and you really have to realize what that balance is. And if that means changing up the gym routine, that means taking a day off if you're going hard for 2 hours a day for 5 days a week. That's 10 times more than most people do in an average month, right? And so like realizing that it's okay to have that balance, give yourself permission, and have those boundaries with your goals, and that way you don't feel like you're falling off on prior habits that you created or things, or you're okay with it because you have that balance and you recognize that, like, okay, I was going hard, now I have the routine built up, and now I can kind of pull the gas back a little bit, maintain them, but I don't have to make that just my sole focus, right? And you start to realize that there are multiple pieces of our lives and our habits that contribute to how we are feeling with us. But ultimately it's going to come back to that power of you in that moment right now. What do you need to do to feel better, to feel good? Check in with yourself and give yourself permission to have days where you want to just chill, and you will be okay. And your muscles aren't going to go away in 2 days, unless
you ain't eating,
unless you're like a carb.
Get that protein.
Unless you're not eating, you still gotta be eating. You still gotta feed the muscles. You gotta get the carbohydrates, the proteins, yada yada. I'm not a scientist. Disclaimer. Not a therapist, not a scientist, not a doctor. We're just people. We're just out here. Not a therapist, but ask away. Really be able to enjoy the day-to-day moments and use that power of you to really touch base with yourself as often as you can. And, soon enough, it just becomes part of your mental health and like psyche. It gets built in, and it's pretty amazing how powerful the brain is. Mm-hmm. It really is. And it's like, there are so many untapped sources of happiness internally and joy. And I think the power of you, actually, it was funny. My date last night asked me like, what brings me joy? And I was, I didn't want to get too deep on her, but really, like, the only thing that will bring you joy is you internally being joyful and present in the moment. External things can bring happiness, sure, but it's fleeting happiness, it's momentary happiness, it's dwindling happiness, but having that mindset to be present and to be, here and drive that around your joy, make an internal checklist of like, I'm feeling happy. All right, this is great, because that'll last. Life situations will change and your goals will change, but having that ability to check in with you is forever.
Yes. I think that's a good stopping point for this episode. We would love to know what you guys where you guys find joy. So comment us, DM us. Email us. We would love to know, because maybe it's something we might be into. Personally, me, I love Legos, so if I wasn't cooking today,
I love collecting cars.
That's what I'd be doing, watching the Lord of the Rings again. But building my Legos, but not today. Maybe next Saturday.
Yeah, hit us in the DMs and the comments. Experiences that are joy versus happy for you, kind of what you're seeing in terms of how it's making you feel, how you're doing. Let us know if you're using the techniques of checking in with yourself throughout the day, of what you need in this moment, and kind of your mental health story too.
Oh,
wow!
Yeah, that is a great ending part right there.
That's a great ending, and we're out with that. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dudes.Done.Deal. I'm Mark again, and I'm
Ricky.
And we hope you have a good one, and thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with episode 4 coming up soon.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
See ya.